Hello, everyone. Welcome to part 2 of our real IT interview questions. So in part 1, if you guys missed it, what I did is I had a Quizlet that I created years ago, and we went through the first 25 flashcards. And essentially what we're doing is we're going through the different questions that I was asked throughout these different interviews. These are questions ranging from stuff about yourself, so personal questions. Some of them are technical questions. And what we're doing is we're going through the different topics. And then on the back side of the flashcard, I have, if it's a technical question, I give you some ideas of things that you could bring up. So like for this one, system not starting, we'll cover that in a second. So some of the troubleshooting steps that you could do if a system is not starting. But if you missed the first episode, please check it out because there's some great information in there, especially for some of the questions that are aimed more so on the personal side. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to get through the last 26. So the first one here, we have system not starting. So some of the things that you could recommend if a system is not starting for a user, this could be a scenario-based question. One of the things you could suggest to the user is boot into safe mode, interrupt boot process 3 times to boot into safe mode, and check device manager and event viewer. May need to replace or remove a driver, may need to remove or reinstall an application. And again, these are just suggestions of things that you could bring up. Please do your own research because they may ask you follow-up questions on these. And you want to make sure you don't just have talking points. You're able to explain these different steps and why you would have chosen them. Okay, next one we got, an application crashed. So what should we do if an application crashed? So one of the things you could do is you could check the event log for any details about the application crash, check the reliability monitor, see what additional details were revealed about the crash, and if any solutions are provided. You may need to reinstall the application and contact the software developer. You could also see if there's any updates for that application. Make sure it's up to date. Blue screens and spontaneous shutdowns. So the blue screen of death on startup and shutdown may be related to faulty hardware, bad drivers, bad applications. So make sure you're checking on those. If related to a recent change, start in safe mode and roll back to the last working version. So if you just recently updated your computer, check on that. You can do a system restore for that or roll back a driver. If hardware issue, may need to reseat the hardware, especially if you built your own PC. That's one of the things you could look at. Or if this is for another user, then you may need to take apart their tower and see if something is not seated correctly. And if the problem persists, run a hardware diagnostic test from your BIOS. All right, you get a black screen. So what should you do for that? So that could be a driver corruption, could be faulty operating system file corruption. So you may want to go ahead and boot in safe mode and run a system file checker. Make sure there's no corrupted files. While in safe mode, re-download drivers. Try Windows Startup Repair/refresh or recover from a backup. So pop-ups on a PC. So say you just have these random pop-ups appearing on your PC. What should you do? So you probably want to update your browser, run a malware scan. You may have something going on, some sort of malware or virus on the computer. Use a known good backup to restore to. But you definitely want to start with these first. Update your browser and run those virus scans and malware scans to make sure that the computer hasn't been compromised. Browser redirections. So say you go to a website like YouTube or Google, but it redirects you somewhere else. Same thing, you want to make sure that you're using anti-malware and antivirus programs. Restore from a known good backup. System lockup. So say the system is just completely frozen on you. So that happens often if an app is using up too many resources on your computer. So one of the things that you could do is try to terminate the bad app using Task Manager. Those of you that don't know, the shortcut for that is Control-Alt-Delete. You could also check the logs after restarting, see what was causing the issue or why the computer was frozen. Because maybe if the computer is frozen, you may not be able to do Control-Alt-Delete to see what's eating up all the resources on the computer. You could run a virus scan and do a hardware diagnostic. All right, removing malware. So first thing you want to do is you want to identify malware symptoms. So what's going on? Is it pop-ups? Is the computer just really slow? Are you having browser redirections? I mean, there's all sorts of different types of symptoms to show that your computer may be compromised. You want to quarantine the system, so definitely disconnect it from the network. So whether that's an Ethernet connection or you just could actually disable your Wi-Fi. You could also disable your system restore. You're going to want to disable your system restore. You're going to want to update your antivirus and run a scan and remove malware. So you may need to do the update of the antivirus and scan before you disable your network. But one of the first things you're going to want to do is quarantine your system. So preferably your antivirus is already up to date and maybe just hasn't run recently. But you definitely want to set up your antivirus to run on a schedule so that you're not having to do it manually, because users are never going to know to do that. May need to boot in safe mode and run antivirus from there. You could schedule scans and run updates, like I mentioned. You could enable system protection and restore points, so you have more restore points to roll back to. And you want to educate the user, because that user must have done something to get that virus on their computer. So whether that was visiting a website they shouldn't have, clicking on a phishing link in their email. So maybe they clicked on a suspicious link and it took them to a website that downloaded the harmful file onto their computer. So you make sure you want to educate the user so it doesn't happen again. Domain. So domain is the central database, Active Directory domain services. User accounts are managed centrally, manage all devices and users, deploy software, manage the operating system. So this is kind of an AD question if you're asking any Active Directory questions. List files and directories. So this is a command prompt. So these are some things that you can use, like dir. So change the directory, list files and directories, cd for change directory. So change the working directory, use, I guess that's a backslash, right? To specify the volume or folder. For example, use cd documents or cd, change the folder that you're looking in on your command prompt, and takes the user to the folder above the current. Yeah, some of these notes don't really make sense to me reading them years later, but yeah, this should hopefully give you guys a good starting point of some of the things that you should know when dealing with command prompt and PowerShell. To shut down a computer. So to shut down your computer from command prompt, use -s -t space -n. For restart, use shutdown -r /t -n, and use shutdown -t to abort the shutdown. Deployment image servicing and management tool. So DISM. System file check. So SFC/scan now. So scans the integrity of all system files and repairs files with problems when possible. So that's how you do that on command prompt. Check disk. So CHK DSK. So check disk CHK DSK/F fixes logical file system errors on the disk. CHK DSK/R locates bad sectors and recovers readable information. And I do apologize if I can't provide a little bit more insight into these. I don't work with command prompt very much in my current role. I'm a programmer and a system administrator, so I don't deal much with ServiceNow system administrator, so I don't deal much with command prompt anymore. Manage disk configurations. So disk part. So manage disk part, disk configurations /help for all the options. To view current task and then to remove tasks. So task list and task kill to view current task and then to remove task. Task kill /im notepad.exe or task kill /pid 1234 /t. So if you have your task list and you see Notepad is open, this would be the shortcut how you would kill or close Notepad from your command prompt. Managing group policy. So force a group policy update, GP update /target computer /force, verify group policy settings, GP result /r shows on the computer using or can target computer by selecting GP result /user. Yeah, so this is essentially what happens if you're working through command prompts and remotely updating the group policy for a computer or for another user, for another desktop or server. Format a disk to use with Windows. Delete everything on that drive. Format E. Copy. So /v/y/v verifies the new files were copied correctly. Copy /v and then the file name and then to the drive. So if you want to override a conflict copy /v/y, then you can overwrite that file. Copies files and directory trees. So xcopy copies files and directory trees /xcopy/s documents the drive // and then where you want it to be or the folder. Better version of Xcopy is robust copy. So that's how you do that. Then TCP/IP and network information. So IP config. So TCP/IP and network information. IP config/all gives even more network information like DHCP, which is Dynamic Host Connection Protocol, and DNS domain. Is it domain naming system? Again, I apologize, guys. I'm not really working with command prompt anymore. So test reachability. Let's see if I can guess it. Is it ping? Yep. So ping and then the IP address. Determine the route a packet takes to get to its destination. So I believe it's tracert and then the IP address. Is that correct? Yeah, tracert. Yep. So ICMP is a low priority, so may show timed out. TTL, time to live, is the number of router hops to get to the destination. I think that's what TTL is, right? Or at least that's one of the acronyms. And this one I believe is netstat. Let's see if I'm right. Yeah, let's see. I still got it, guys. Netstat-A, all inbound and outbound connections. Netstat-B shows binaries, windows. Do not resolve names. Netstat-N. And look up information from DNS servers. NS, so it'd be NS lookup, and then either the domain or the IP address. Let's see. Ooh, guys, I'm on fire. I'm on fire. So I got this from Professor Messer. So he's great. He does a lot of videos on YouTube where he goes really deep into security, networking. He also helps you study for the CompTIA A+. So one of the best ways you can get ready for an interview is actually to study for those certifications, those CompTIA certifications, and go through Professor Messer. He has free videos on YouTube. He has notes that you can purchase on his website. He has mock tests, mock labs. I mean, he's a great resource. So I would definitely look into that, especially if you guys want to get those certifications or just wanting to study for any future interviews that you have. And Windows network commands. So Windows network commands, net? I don't know what that means. View network resources, net view. Oh, sorry. So this is the command, net. View network resources, net view, / server name. Map a network share to a drive letter. So how you map drives to network. How you map a network share to a drive. So shared drives. Net use H. I'm not even gonna try to read these. You guys see how the formatting is. View user account information or reset passwords. Net user username. Net user username * domain. All right, guys, that about does it for the rest of the, I guess, the general IT questions. I'll be putting out another video soon with some of the programming questions that I got and some additional personal questions that I received. Please check out the first video because, like I said, a lot, primarily from the first video, was a lot more personal questions. And in interviews, that could be just as important as the technical, or at least close to it, because they want to make sure that this person is going to be someone they want to work with. You know, they want to make sure that that you're personable, that one of the main things that you're going to be dealing with in IT is that it's a customer service position. So they want to make sure that you're friendly, you're willing to talk about yourself, things like that. So those are very important. And you want to make sure that you're focusing on the interpersonal side just as much as the networking side. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like. Please also consider subscribing to the channel. Catch you all in the next one very soon. And I'll put the link to episode 1 in the description.